What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Blue River Bow Hunting Podcast, episode 133. I know it's been a hot minute since you heard my voice or saw my face. That was just me being busy in the woods trying to get a buck down and travel to some different states and just live my best life, really. And podcasting kind of fell to the wayside. It always kind of does this time of the year. It's so hard to get that done, especially before the time change, because time I get out of the woods and get home, it's already 8:30, 9 o'clock. Don't really have time. And I still have to be, the family man after that. I still have, life obligations in the way, but just wanted to throw that out there. It's good to be back. Can't wait to get some episodes ripped off here and get some good guests on for you guys. And just want to do a little shout out to a sponsor real quick, Local 18 out of Indianapolis. And been with Local 18 for 14 years now. They've jumped on board and sponsored the podcast and the YouTube. So if you're looking for a career in blue collar trades, look them up at insulators.org. But we're gonna get this episode kicked off with my buddy just down the road. Victor, what's going on, dude?
Good to be back, buddy.
Absolutely.
133. Okay. All right.
Yeah. I think, honestly, if we go back and I tallied it up, I think you might be the longest running guest, like as far as appearances on the show. I think you might be.
I think this is my third trip up here or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, I say that this is your third or fourth time, I think. So you got your PhD now.
I don't count. I don't count.
Not me either, for sure. But I knew you would. You got you've checked many things off the box this summer, spring, summer, and fall. It's just like one big story for you, I feel like, and you're the perfect guest to have on. Just down the road from me, got to see you and Ron this past weekend when Ron was in town. Man, just it's incredible what you guys got going on over there at Crimson Trail.
Well, I'm to backtrack 1 second. I hate daylight savings.
Absolutely. It's killer, especially after.
It feels like 10 o'clock at night. What time is it? I look at I haven't even eaten dinner. It's only 6 o'clock. It's already dark.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, we're just cranking away. I actually today started editing turkeys from this past spring. Because that's when we will kick off our season 8 in February.
Yep.
And we kind of time that now with the NWTF, and everybody starts getting turkey on the brain.
Yep.
I am not even thinking about turkey. You can put a strutting gobbler in front of me right now, and I'm good for him. He's cute. He's cute.
No, it hasn't quite entered my brain just yet, but I'd say at the after Christmas into that New Year's time, it starts to creep in for sure.
So yeah, I said I kind of was a little hesitant at first, but I downloaded that episode that I'm going to edit for the first one, and I was like, I got it onto my timeline, and I'm like, okay, I can do this. I'm pretty hot and heavy. I mean, obviously, I've already tagged out here in Indiana 1 month and 1 day ago, but I'm still deep. I mean, I have never been more excited about deer hunting. This excited, and it's been quite a few years.
That's good, man, to get the spark going again.
It's kicked back in. I've been excited, but I haven't been as excited as I have been. But yeah, Ron is hunting on mine and Antone's property now. We gave him the north part of the farm, and he's busy. And it literally 2 days before, he was working his schedule, and he goes, I'm going to come down for the weekend. And I'm like, come on down. got a cot right here in my office that he sleeps on. And so, yeah, I mean, he came down, and then I think it was Saturday morning early, I got the text from you, BBD.
So redemption.
I was like, yeah. And he wanted to climb down to the tree stand then, but I said, let's hunt. You're here to hunt. So,
well, I want to backtrack a little bit because I've talked about it 4 or 5 times on the podcast, but you getting your video in the full draw film tour with your bear with the recurve. Talk about that experiences, and I'm sure it kind of, I mean, you've done that sort of thing before, but it had to have been a little bit different this time, right?
Yeah, for me, I don't know. I don't really call myself anything special. I'm just a nerd. and but I've always had the bug for creativity when it comes to visual stuff and photos. Yeah, the photo thing went back to even like junior high and high school for me, and that was many, many years ago. But the video thing, especially with the hunts, that was like 2000 and like two or three, when I lived in Maine, when I hooked up with some guys up there that were actually on local cable there, and that's when it became a reality for me, and the drive just exploded. So when you're in this like creative world of producing shows and producing stuff in the outdoor world, there's film festivals out there. The one that everybody knows the most about and has known about for so many years is the Badlands Film Festival, and for many years it was an after party for the ATA show.
Hmm.
And I don't remember how many they got up to, 11 or 12, but they're not at ATA, and they didn't have a show this year. And I had been to every one except for the very, very first one. And then there's that drive when you're creating and when you're, doing episodic content and short films, you want to be in that. It's a drive, and it's like that. Like, to me, it's an aspiration. I put in quite a few films. I've been in a couple of film festivals. Beyond Rubicon, I had a film in that. It was just shown one time, and I didn't get to go because they were like from New Mexico, I think. But it was cool, it was like neat, got in that. Um, and then the Full Draw Film Tours, actually, this was their 15th year. We've been going to the one when they finally got across the Mississippi and into Indiana. I want to say like 17 or 18, and I think we were one of their first areas, and that was it for me. I was like, wow, I love this. I
Hmm.
love Badlands is one and done though. You're there, you're at the ATA show, everybody comes, they see it, a lot of eyes on it, and then it's done. And with the full draw, it's like it keeps on going, because they start out west in like April, May, and they go all the way until like mid-September when they get done hosting these at theaters. And if there was a film that I could have just like dreamt that this would be the one, it would be this story because it meant so much to me with shooting that recurve bear with my dad's recurve, and it was just amazing. We called it the last shot. I got to go see it up in Michigan, in Grand Rapids. Hung out with the Fourth Arrow guys. A lot of the guys from the Fourth Arrow area up there, or the Grand Rapids area, Fourth Arrow's at. They
Hmm.
came and celebrated. A lot of people. I mean, friends, family, even some people from Indiana came up because they couldn't make it to the Indiana one, which was the next day.
Right.
So, and then we whipped right back down to Indiana and hit the Indianapolis one. You and Adam came. I mean, we had a full theater there, and it was just surreal seeing that. It was very humbling, is really ultimately what it is. Um, and yeah, it was fun. And, that whole story for me was, man, I've kind of like fallen in love with trad archery now. And, I took that bow and I hung it up on my in my den downstairs, and I went and bought a longbow. A couple $100 longbow. If I like it, like it. If not, I've only got a couple $100 invested in it. And
Right.
I tried last year to get a deer. Never had any shot opportunities other than a little button buck, and nothing against it. I probably should have shot it, but I knew there was a lot more deer around, and I thought, I kind of like to just shoot something with antlers actually on its head, or a doe, a big
Right.
doe. And I ate a tag, shot a turkey with it this year. That story is for another day. That was a fiasco.
Oh
the
boy.
last day of the last Saturday of the season, and and then this deer came about. So
Well,
yeah,
let's hear the story about this your first whitetail with this trad bow.
I for me, it kind of was it's kind of an evolution for me of I felt like I was starting all over again, and I think that's where a lot of this excitement is with the deer hunting again. And I film a lot of deer hunts. I have never quit deer hunting, but I got to the point where there was a time at the beginning of Crimson Trail where I was spending more time filming other people on the team. And then, and then, Antone was kind of in high school, and then he graduated from high school and kind of fiddled around for a little bit, and he wasn't around for one of the deer seasons. Piper was still just a little young, but she was getting there, and things kind of slowed down, and then it exploded again. So I've got deer hunting close to home as well. That helps me a ton. So that plus this trad thing, I was driven. Let's get it. Let's get a deer down, and so with the with the filming, I'm always going to film a hunt. I
Mhm.
don't sell film; it's too complicated
It-
for me.
yeah, I
I'm
got
going.
stories about that later.
I'm going to drop a camera out of the tree stand, which I've done those before. I'm never going to get it right. I have a hard enough time focusing with my ADD when I'm filming, and that's all I have to do is film. So but I was like getting my kids are getting into it,
Mhm.
and Piper and it's easier for me with her because I can pick her up after school, and we can be on our property like within 25 minutes after
That's
she
awesome.
walks out the door and gets to school.
Yeah.
And we've got two properties close by, and one of them right now is just it's a fiasco. But I get it. Duke Power is clearing out some power lines, and it goes right through the middle of our property, and
Man.
it's to this day it's a 3.5 week fiasco. Their trucks are still parked out there just to change one power line and to clear out like 300 yards. It's 200 yards of trees that just need to be trimmed back. So
Yeah.
I'm stuck at the little property we call it Piper's Plot, and like I said, a month and a day ago, we were just getting like this influx of just younger bucks, a couple of 2.5-year-olds, some year and a half olds. Just like I don't know why they hang out there, but they love it there for some reason. It's pretty thick,
Mhm.
and so we had done a few things, and I simplifying everything, going back to here I'm trying to I'm shooting a stick and a string. I'm excited about shooting just about anything that will give me a good clear broadside shot under 20 yards or less. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to take it one step further, and in the creative world I'm going to and I've got cinema cameras, I've got a business outside of the hunting world that I actually make a living with now
Right.
in my retirement life. And I've got the cameras that can do what they got to do. I said, let's just take it back a step and let's film this entire event, good, bad, and ugly, with cell phones.
That's
So
awesome.
right there, got the mounts, got everything ready for it. Even my son Dominic, who's almost 13, he filmed a couple of hunts out there, see a few deer, having fun.
Right.
And then the deer showed up one morning, and I was like, ooh, I got to get out there. Piper, I'm at school waiting for her, like, let's go. She gets out, she comes in, we get home, we change. Brett, we were loading into the truck to drive the 1 mile over to my in-laws farm, and the reveal cameras go off, and we're looking, and three of the four bucks that were in there that morning running around being dumb were standing in the food plot. I
Oh
was like,
man.
how are we gonna get in there? What are we gonna do? Because it's wide open. We
Yeah,
go
it's
out,
wide open.
we drive across a cornfield. There's a lane that goes up, but now the corn had just come out that day. They had started it the night before, and and I think that was part of why the deer were kind of more visible,
Yeah.
and the corn had just gone out right there. So we're like, oh boy, what are we gonna do? So we go over there, and I know we can. They've got a golf cart that we can use, and we can move quick. So we cut across the cornfield the opposite direction, and we get on this ditch line, and it's a fence, and we're just kind of creeping slowly. And now I can see them. They're out there playing around and chasing each other around, and we just started creeping up, creeping up, creeping up. And then I'm like, we're just gonna sit here until they go back in the woods, or we see where they go. It's 4 acres of woods.
Yeah.
Okay. It's 4 acres of woods and a 4 acre pond right next to it. It's, and we don't go into this woods for anything ever. Never. I've been in it one time partially.
It's
And,
thick.
and,
Real
and I
thick.
was looking for mushrooms, and I never hunted it at that point. And I was like, I can't find it's too thick in here. Now I know why there's so many deer in there. So I said,
Right.
well, Piper, we're just going to have fun. We filmed them, and we're 250, 300 yards from them. And I thought they had gone out, and I said, oh, they just all went across the field. Oh, well, I mean, there's got to be more deer in there. Let's just go. So Piper has been in a blind there on the ground for the first year, and then the next 2 years, 5 feet off the ground, elevated, soft sided blind. Well, she wants to be like Big Brother Anton and I, and she wanted to be in a tree stand. So I bought a 2-man stand, put it on the opposite end of this 100 yards of plot. It's an old pasture that we have, and I said we set it up, and she's been up in it and done her thing, and and she was a little nervous. She got up in there, got her safety harness on, and I went up, set everything up like a week before this hunt, because I knew that with the longbow, if it wasn't raining and the wind was right, I wanted to hunt outside of the blind. So she gets up in there, she's got her camera going, and we're kind of like, yeah, probably all those deer just went 200, 300, 400 yards across this cut bean field into the next woods. We're probably toast. And we're just sitting there having a good time, fiddle falling around. And there's about 45 minutes of light left. And she's going, oh, there's deer. So I put a doe decoy up behind me, to my left, to if anything came out, they go one of two ways, and they either go east or they come west towards us. So I put the doe decoy out just to maybe like, because I saw how playful they were, and they were pushing a doe around in there that morning. So I'm like, okay, well they'll come check this doe out, and I'll
Right.
put it here so it'll draw them across in front of me and hopefully give me that shot. And he comes out directly in front of her blind at 90 yards from us, and he just starts like slowly feeding down the edge, and he'd call a little bit, do the can call, he'd look up, he'd come a little bit further. And it took him 25 minutes, and it was like he gets it like 30 yards, and it was just like all of a sudden he would just looked up and like, oh, now I see the doe decoy. And he started coming, and I just
That's
thought I
awesome.
had liver shot him, and we just said we're just sitting it out, backing out. He ran right into the woods, and we ended up going in 5 o'clock in the morning. Me, her, and Antone. When we trailed him to his first bed, he had bedded in at the pond, and I went, mm. And then I put the word out. We had a buddy of ours who flies a drone for us. He came over, he flew it, and we didn't couldn't he found the deer, but we couldn't tell if he was dead or alive. It looked a lot he looked a lot dead because he was laying on his side, but he looked like he was also moving his head. And so we're like, ah. So he said, wait till your son gets off of work. When he gets off of work at 5, go in. He should be dead by then. Because if you did get liver, he's not going anywhere. But I'm thinking 14 hours now at this point.
That's a lot.
I didn't just get liver. I missed the liver somewhere in that. It looked like a liver hit because we saw where the impact was, but
Right.
we went in at 5, and we found him right back over at the water, and he had been dead for quite a while, 4 or 5 hours. So
That's
he but he
awesome.
had but he had made it like 30, 40 yards across over to the pond again, and I did. It was just so surreal that this actually just happened. It was cool with a bear, but with a deer, I don't know. It just kind of touched me differently. So, yeah,
That's homegrown too. You know what I mean? Like
homegrown. Yeah.
at home, especially as much as work as you guys have put in on that little piece. I passed it heading east when I
Yep.
went and hunted West Virginia, and I looked over and smiled, and I was like, "Yep, that's
Yep.
where they're at right
That's
there."
it. I got people that go, I think I know what you. I mean, it's fine. I don't. You know, everybody. Most people overlook that little stuff,
For
and
sure.
and I'm like, why did I overlook that? How did I overlook that? And we call it Piper's Plot. It's really her quarter spot. She's usually done by now, but what really kind of triggered all of that, where I would have just been committed to the camera for her, but she went out with youth season with Antone, and wanted to try something new, and got the rifle out. And she had never killed a deer with a rifle. It's always been with her crossbow.
Hmm.
And so the youth season ended, no deer. And I said, well, that's fine. Let's get your crossbow sighted in again, make sure everything's good. And like that Monday, after the youth season, we went out, shot a crossbow, and the string and cable burst on it.
Oh man.
So I had to get that fixed. So I had a buddy of mine who I had to order. So I had to order the string and cable, and then he was going to fix it. And it ended up being a couple of weeks. And in that 2 weeks or so, it was like, well, we're still going to hunt. And that's when she was like, well, I want to film you. So, 11-year-old kid filmed me, with a cell
That's awesome
phone,
too, though.
and
Yeah.
and I produce, like, short films and stuff. I'm not, I love it. And to me, that's I just tell people, I get people all the time, hey man, I want you to look at this footage. I want to do this, and I'm like, like, listen, keep it simple, or what camera do I use? Do you have a cell phone? Yeah, start using that.
Yeah, whatever you can find that
Use
records
whatever you want
something.
to use. It doesn't matter. I mean, that's how I started with junky stuff, and I wouldn't have the stuff I have right now if I didn't have a wedding film business.
But how many times
Mm.
have you had that conversation with somebody when they're like, "What should I use?" You could
Yeah,
tell that they want to do it,
I
and
do.
then you give them a very simple answer like you just did.
Yep.
Well, you can do it with your phone. You can do it this, and it
Well,
seems like they shy. It seems like they think there's more to it than that, and there's really not.
there's really not. I mean, you're filming stuff and
Hmm.
editing films, and I just tell guys jump in with both feet. And if you don't like it, don't do it.
Hmm.
If you do, because I will say this, there's very limited funding and money now in the outdoor industry when it comes to filming.
Yeah,
What I do and what Crimson Trail does 100% is because we're just passionate about telling
absolutely.
stories. And I just took it to another level. It was my hobby when I was in my old job, and I was just passionate about it. And where I learned everything? School of YouTube. Or I just
Yep.
paid attention when I was around other people who were creatives that, like, what do you do with that? How do you do that? What camera do you have? And
Hmm.
and I was able to just build onto, and then the next level, I'm going to try this camera, and then when I used to not bring my fancy cameras out into the woods. I do now because I'm comfortable with them, and I
Right.
have insurance on my
Yeah.
on my gear. But like, yeah, the cell phone will do a job. And in that film, when it's done, I am going to purposely put on there every bit of this hunt. This story was told with a cell phone. A little bit of drone work will be in there, and a little bit of Ace Pro, which is like the 360 cameras, the GoPro kind of cameras.
Yeah.
But 90% of that story will be told with a cell phone.
I find myself, and I don't know if I'm the only person that does this, and I don't think it's because I'm lazy. I think when I go on these trips a lot,
Mhm.
sometimes I just forget to do that kind of stuff sometimes
Yep.
because I'm so caught up in enjoying myself in those
Yep.
moments. I did as much as I could in Missouri. I did a lot on the way there, interviews when I'm driving, loading the truck up. I
Mhm.
always I like putting a little time lapse of driving on the interstate, blah blah blah.
Mhm.
But after it was all said and done, I really didn't have that much to put together on the whole thing because I was just enjoying myself, man. It
Yep.
was a
Mhm.
vacation for me. I was looking to, actually grind it out and get it done and not necessarily focus so much on that. I mean,
Yep.
it's hard
Yep.
to explain, but you kind of get what I'm saying.
Oh, I get it, because, like, it's not for everybody. And when I was starting in it, it was not a saturated market.
Right.
And now it's so saturated with social media, that it's gone through so many revolutions and evolutions, that it is just, for me, if you're producing content, just have fun with it.
Sure.
Because if it's a grind for you and you don't have the money to put into it, then you're not, and it's going to cause you to not enjoy hunting. Don't
Right.
do it. I've had
Absolutely.
guys that were with me at the beginning of this adventure of Crimson Trail that have just kind of, like, kids coming along, life changes, and it's a distraction to me, bro. This isn't our life,
Right.
and so many people get angry and jealous and frustrated over. And I was like, dude, it's a camera, and if you don't, like, see, I know how to edit, and so for me, it's not that difficult, and I love doing it, but if it was going to cost me more money, or because I'm not getting, there's no income. coming
Right.
in from
For
this.
sure.
I have filmed hunts and gotten paid for it. I it, it would all amount to the amount of work you put into it. It would all amount to about $1 an hour or $2 an hour, and
Yep.
that was the minimum wage back in 1965. so
Right.
it's like those days are gone. If you don't enjoy it, then put it up. But yeah, that to me was the message. Was I went back. I went to this whole trad thing, and it was there was no pressure, but just to ethically harvest an animal with this, a deer,
Mhm.
and I tried a turkey, and I thought, you know what? Let's even make it less complicated, and let's produce this whole thing with a cell phone. Because what is more simple than a cell phone? It
Right,
is
and they
nothing
shoot
is
great
more
stuff too.
simple. You can, and so for those of you who want to use your cell phone, don't film it like this. Film
Film
it
it
like
sideways,
that. and
absolutely.
and there's so many mounts out there now. You can put it on your bow. You can. I would rather. I had a conversation with a guy a couple days ago, and he showed me a video that he had taken with his GoPro, and I said, how do I make this better? Add your cell phone to it, because your cell phone, a GoPro style cameras are wide angles.
Mhm.
So yeah, that deer was at 15 yards, but he's that big in the frame because these point of view cameras are made to be right up on the action.
Absolutely.
So I use this camera up close on the hunter and the activities in their stand, and I use the cell phone because you can crop in or shoot in 4K or whatever. So there's your
Mhm.
little I want to film with my cell phone tip right there. And
Yep.
there's plenty of mounts out there. Our people at Fort Arrow,
Absolutely.
they've got simple, easy, high quality mounts that you can just do everything with your cell phone. And even if it's for that's how it started for me. I still have my 31-year-old son's first turkey that he shot when he was 10. And
That's
I hadn't even
awesome.
shot a turkey yet. I did that spring, and I still can watch that. And that's what drove me to it, is all these memories, because I know how fast time goes. And now I'm living my dream, bro. I'm filming with two of my kids the most when it comes to the hunting stuff.
Mhm.
And my 11-year-old kid filmed me, with this hunt. And I felt like I just stepped back a little bit and went like, let's slow this down, simplify it, and remember it's about our friends and family and people and the relationships, the camaraderie, and then the animals are just a bonus.
Oh, for
So
sure.
that's
That's
it.
what kind of I had to hammer that home a little bit this past weekend with opening weekend of Gun.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I wouldn't say he was down on himself. It was kind of like, man, I kind of wish this buck was bigger. I'm not gonna say who this what person was,
Yeah. Mhm.
and I was like, dude, four of us just shot a deer this afternoon. We're sitting here, we got it hanging. We're
Yeah.
drinking beer. We're all
Yep.
my side hurts because I'm laughing so much.
Yep.
This is what it's all. I don't give a shit if the thing had
Yep.
30 inches on it. Like
Yep.
we're having a blast. We got two guys come up from Tennessee. We kind of trade hunts with them so we can turkey hunt down there. We had an absolute blast. And after I said
Yep.
that, I think it hit home a little bit, and that person realized you're absolutely right, and like almost kind of thanked me, like I'm glad you kind of said something, like
Yep.
it shouldn't be like that. And I'll get to opening weekend and all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff here coming up, but just that having people around to experience all this stuff with,
Yep.
and it just means everything. I mean, it's just
Yep.
it builds relationships. It made everything just so much better
Yep.
in return.
And to me, and I've been deep in the industry, and I've done a lot of stuff, and I've produced a lot of like commercial work and marketing stuff for many, many, many companies. And but I have simplified all of that stuff, because even with me, that struggle is then it becomes, like it's a distraction to just the whole lifestyle.
Hmm.
I truly consider this a lifestyle,
Absolutely.
and if it's a lifestyle, it's got to involve people, and
Hmm.
who are your people are going to be, and you know the story, but I'll say this, and I say it with a pure heart: bros over brands,
For sure.
or bros over, or sisters, that bros, universal. Bros or sisters over anything, like
Hmm.
big bucks or, trophy this or trophy that. like you said, we've got a little bit of a thing going on where it's like where people feel bad that they shot. No, I'm done with that.
Yeah, I'm done with
I'm
that
done with
too.
those days. Like, listen, I
It
don't care
doesn't,
how much an animal scores. I don't care.
for
And
sure.
I took hero pictures.
Well, that's I was gonna get. That was my next. I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that.
I
Wait,
won't
wait,
go
wait.
there then. I'll let you get there.
Well, like,
You know,
and inches doesn't matter to me either.
yep.
Did I score mine when I killed it this weekend?
Shoot.
Yes,
Yeah.
because I wanted to know. I'm not getting
Yeah.
hung up on it, but
No.
I've been told by some people that have killed some absolute monsters, you're
Hmm.
never going to shoot a 160 if you keep shooting the 125s. Totally get it.
Oh,
Totally
yeah.
understand that. Yes.
Hmm.
Am I going to see a 165 every year? No, I'm
Hmm.
not. Like it just doesn't work out that way. There are some absolute giants in our neck of the woods, which is getting to
Hmm.
my next story. You got to take some pictures
Hmm.
of one of the biggest deer I've ever seen, and I was actually had a privilege to chase this deer, not for
Hmm.
very long, but just the fact knowing that deer could step out at any time.
Hmm.
You had me on pins and needles. I haven't felt that way being in the woods in a very long time. And I tried to do everything I could precaution wise. Once I went in there, like, man, I really need to play this right. Like, where's my
Hmm.
wind going? What's going on? Because a deer this magnitude is going to make you pay for those mistakes that you make.
Yeah. And I actually physically laid hands and took photos of this deer
Mm-hmm.
that was harvested on Veterans Day, so last Tuesday. And honestly, I was with another guy. This is a high school senior who shot this deer.
You can say his
Um,
name if we want to. I don't think we'll get in
and
trouble or for anything like
no, he
that.
won't care. So it'll be popular. It'll be out there. It's already got a pretty good strong. But Aiden Houchins, high school senior, just getting into deer hunting, um, and he shot his first deer last year with his rifle, and then he saw this deer I think in June on one of their family farms,
Right.
and I don't even really. I mean, I know he knew what he was chasing. But his story, the story, I won't tell the story of the kill. I heard the whole story. It's amazing what happened. And he's so humble. Like the rut and God saved him.
So like this, didn't he score like or in the
Two seven
ballpark 217?
217 officially scored green. So it's a green score, obviously. It hasn't
Right.
dried. But officially Gross scored 217 and 7/8, I believe was the
Mm.
and the other guy that was there um is a seasoned big buck man to
Mm-hmm.
our
Absolutely,
community.
for sure.
And this guy and I'm like, like body size. I know they run themselves down. They're but like 4-year-old deer. Maybe that was a 4-year-old deer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a biologist, so I didn't pull any teeth or anything like that. But like body size, that magnitude of a buck might have just been a 4-year-old. And we
That's
could be off,
insane.
but he was definitely not older than 4, or he was definitely not older than 5, in my unprofessional opinion. And to just be around that deer, I went over there to take pictures during daylight, and then I came back and we tried to do some astro pictures because the aurora was big the night before, and
Right.
it slipped us. But we were just there, just like wow. And for me, I loved the attitude of a kid who shoots his deer, and he was just like still in awe and the humility of it, and the teasing. It's all downhill from here, buddy.
Yeah, no kidding.
But like I mean, I had a 177, in our little 4 acres on and off, but like that deer, I also had him 3 miles down the road at my second farm.
Mm-hmm.
A picture of him, in September, and not even in the rut yet. And so, these deer are traveling. And as soon as the guns start blazing,
Yeah, for
I
sure.
mean, so you may have a 177 or 188 or a
that
217, but I know that was the worst kept
that's
secret
what I was
in
getting ready
our
to say.
county. I can
It
say
was
it
kind of like,
now.
don't tell nobody, or I'll kill you.
Don't tell anybody. And I can keep a secret. So I have,
I did too.
I had three separate people. I had 4 people. One wasn't hunting it, but it had leaked to this person. And I'm like, I just played down. Ah, man, that's wow. Yeah. I mean, um, but I had 3 different people that were actually hunting it show me a video or a picture of it, like that they had taken, seeing it on the side of the road. And I'm like, so this deer is that visible in velvet.
Yeah.
How many people are going to try to coordinate and knock out and figure out where this deer is at? So it was the worst kept secret in our county. But
And
like,
he was traveling quite a bit too.
yeah, it was a stretch. From what it sounded like to me, it was a couple of miles of
Yep.
travel.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if a couple of miles is, is crossing maybe 3 or 4 in some of these farm cuts, you might be crossing 4 property owners. So
And 10 hunters.
good luck on that guy.
Yeah, no kidding.
And I filmed a 184 typical in 2017 or 18. I think it was 18. And that deer was down in Fayette County, and the kid who shot him had never seen the deer. Lane Baldwin had seen it. It's the very first episode of Crimson Trail.
Wow. I'm gonna have to go back and look at that.
And he was Veterans Day or the day after, I can't remember. And we had this he was worn out. He was in college. He was running home from college in Illinois, and he was worn out. And I was running down there half an hour, 40 minutes, filming these guys, and we get up in the stand and we're all worn out. It's, November. We've been going hard since October 1st. And that deer, like the word just spreads. You know how it spreads.
Yeah.
And then more people, I was hunting that deer. And then the rumors start. Well, this guy that deer had a specific, like, he was a typical 10 or 12, I forget now, but he had a really split ear. And so, you see a picture of that's him, And there was a guy 2.5 miles or so away that had missed him the year before, missed him with a bow, either the year before or that year. And then, but you know what he was chasing? You know what he was behind? A hot doe.
Yep.
And we were just sitting there quiet. We had a 1.5-year-old. Lane said, I want to get down. I'm done. I'm tired. I'm like, bro, I just drove a half an hour down here. Yeah. We are not getting out of the stand an hour after light. Give it a couple more hours. Okay. And about 30 minutes later, that buck showed up right behind a doe. And he killed him. And when we walked up on that deer, I was like, wow. So do we have some big bucks around? Yeah, but
yeah,
I like this. I'll enjoy that. And I would, I should be wearing a Depends if I ever had a deer like that in front of me with a weapon in my hand. But yeah, it's amazing that, but for me, simplifying this hunting season has been great. And then being able to take pictures of a beast like that and then come celebrate with you guys, that's what it's all about. It's it's that camaraderie, that friendship, that, that celebration. And it's our life. It's our life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it meant a lot to me when you guys said that you were coming over. I'm like, this is awesome. I could get to show him off a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was going to ask you a couple questions when it comes to, Indiana deer season kind of update kind of questions. Like, what have you been seeing recently within the last week and a half, movement wise? Like, you think they're out of lockdown phase?
So I'll go back to last Tuesday because I've been I get reports from my kids on the way to school, and they'll call me right back. Well, they called me the other day. They called me last Wednesday, I think it was last Wednesday or Thursday, and just right past. I mean, just going down the road, like not even a quarter mile from our house, a deer bedded down. Two deer standing by it. Well, I knew what they had just seen. I know there's a doe that's bedded down in the middle of the field, and these 2 bucks aren't going to leave her. That was a week ago, and I watched those deer for probably an hour and a half with my long lens taking pictures, and they ran off. When they came back, there was only 1 buck, and so. And then I saw that buck a mile away the next day, the big buck, the bigger buck of the 2. And then I just got a report from another guy because, everybody wants to,
Oh, yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, that deer, have you seen this deer? And yeah, I saw him. I sent the picture that I had taken of the deer, like, you know, 500 yards from my house. And, it's on somebody else's property. And he showed me a picture of that deer from last night, and he was 3 miles down the road.
Wow.
So I think we're still, and then bring it up to like, I can't give our big property a good like feeler right now because we've got Duke Energy
Right.
literally. I showed you the pictures. Literally parked right now. They're going to change that one pole, but they have been in there like clearing out our power line where our fruit plot is, and now I've literally got them parked 10 feet from my turnip plot. 3 bucket trucks. So that property I can't give, but I'm starting. So I filmed Ron Saturday morning, Saturday evening, Sunday morning, and then Piper was ready to go, and I filmed her Sunday night. And he saw a really good buck seeking behind him. He was with a recurve, so
Right. He
that's how
couldn't
old
reach
school
out
we've
there.
gotten. He was about 250, and he said he was clearly seeking. And Antone was down on the property, the south part of the property, and he never saw the deer. It was heading kind of that direction, but it was clearly seeking. So, obviously there's still doe that are, being bred.
Hmm.
And I just, like for me, I would say that you just never know still. I mean, I'm still
For
pretty
sure.
excited about the rut, but I think we're starting to
It's going to taper off a little bit, but
tapering down.
I've seen bucks mount does and chasing sometimes even into December.
Yep.
Um, I had a 6-hour drive to Missouri through Illinois, western side of Indiana, and that's all I saw.
Mm-hmm.
Bucks seeking, bucks running fence rows. You could tell
Mm-hmm.
they were on the move. Didn't really see a whole lot of does, really, just bucks really up on their feet.
Yep.
And then when I got to Missouri, got camp set up, and I was like, in Missouri, the electric bikes are, you can use them. So this place was very big. It's like 3,500 acres or something
Mm-hmm.
that I was hunting, and I went deep. I started at camp. I said I threw my, didn't even take my bow. I don't know if that was stupid or not. Just my setup, my sticks, my platform, and I was off on an adventure. I kind of knew the area I wanted to go, and of course, as soon as I get to the area I wanted to go, I found a, I mean, 10 to 15 scrapes, rub lines. I was finding the sign that I wanted. And I had a buddy with me. He's newer to the public land game, trying to figure stuff out. So I had kind of a general area I wanted to set him in. And I got where I wanted to be, got set up. It was basically a pinch point going down a ridge, just outside of two big bedding areas. So I was like, I think I like this area. I think I'm going to stay right here. Ended up hunting it the whole time. And we go set he had a climber, so he didn't bring it. He just wanted to kind of see what was in the area. So we went and checked it out. And dude, we found this scrape. It had to have been a community scrape. You could have put
Mm-hmm.
my pub table that I do this podcast on in the middle of this thing. I mean, it was huge. And so I got his, excitement up, confidence, blah, blah, blah. We sat the first evening out. We got there at like noon, went and set up, blah, blah, blah. Well, we still really hadn't fully set up camp yet. And I was like, dude, we got to go back and set this stuff up, or we're going to be hurting later when we come back, and I ain't got a bed to jump in yet. So we start setting our stuff up, and, as we're getting the fire going in the evening, we're both like, God, we should have hunted tonight. And I was like, we still got like 6 days to do this. Let's just calm down. This is a marathon. This isn't a sprint. You
That's
got
right.
plenty of time to do this. We got a cold front hitting tonight.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be money. So we get up, hunt the next morning. I didn't see a deer.
Yeah.
He saw a couple does, and confidence is coming down just a notch, after we saw all the activity with that cold front coming in. And I was like, man, it's just still got to be good. So
Mm-hmm.
we wanted to put a big emphasis on hunting that evening of that cold front. So we went in with like 5 or 6 hours left of daylight. We get in there with about an hour and a half or so left of daylight for me. I look to my right, and here comes a 6-pointer up out of that ridge of that bedding. and it hits. I was in kind of like an opening. It was like real small, like native grass, some small saplings and whatnot, but they had kind of cleared it, and I ranged him at 38 yards. I said, well, if anything comes out, at least I know that's 38 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as I did that, I hear leaves rustling because there wasn't a dry leaf in this place. These deer probably could have heard me coming from a mile away with that bike. And I look back and a big, heavy 8-pointer is coming right down the same trail. So I'm like, oh my God, here it goes. Finally, I'm gonna pull this off. Get the camera turned on. I knew exactly what hole he was gonna hit because he was
Mm-hmm.
falling right behind that other 6-point. Got it set up, zoomed in. He walks out, and I couldn't get my bow on the other side of the tree. I really should have drew on the right side of the tree, which my camera was on the left side.
Mm-hmm.
And he took a few more steps out of that. So when he did that, I kind of thought to myself, he's at 40 now. I got to use my 40-yard pin. And when I drew back on the left side of that tree, I bumped that camera when I drew back. Well, when it did, it shot my camera on that fourth arrow arm just a little bit to the left. Well, he walked right in frame as I did that. And I
Oh,
put my 40-yard pin on it, and I put it just a touch high. And I sent it, man. And he did. I thought I smoked him. I
yeah.
thought I've shot a lot of deer with a bow, and his reaction, I thought, man, this deer, there's no way this deer's not dead. He ran into the woods, went down a draw. I'm excited. I'm about to puke because I thought I just pulled it off. Probably about
Yeah.
140, 145-inch deer, somewhere in the ballpark of that. And I get going down there, and it is getting very, very dark quickly. I found good blood, started to taper off a little bit. So I marked it on my Onyx. I took my stocking cap off my head because it was really, really cold. I put it on a tree right above this big dump of blood on the ground, and I just backed out. I didn't want to push him. I didn't want to
Yeah.
go rustling around and do something stupid, and you just keep pushing him on someplace. Because
Mm-hmm.
not gonna lie, I would say I was 700 or 800 yards ballparkish from the line of
Mm-hmm.
public going to private. So I definitely didn't want to push him onto somebody else's property.
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
backed out. Didn't sleep much.
Nope.
I was pretty nervous about the whole thing, and went in the next morning, found the blood again. It tapered off down the draw, and I just lost blood. Couldn't find where he went. I mean, you could almost see where he kicked the leaves up when he was
Yeah.
running through there.
Mm-hmm.
And I just lost blood. I looked for like 6 hours. Um, Contemplated getting a dog.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Contacted a couple people down there that had dogs, and I wasn't about to pay. That wasn't in my budget for my trip
Yeah.
to pay the dog. So I called it off and put my tail between my legs and
Yeah.
got back after it. And I never got another shot on anything else the rest of the trip, man. It
Yeah.
was a depressing moment for sure.
Yeah. That's tough, because it's the biggest deer you've ever shot.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
it's do you use lighted nocks at all?
I don't.
Yeah.
On some old arrows that I had, I wouldn't say old, a
Yeah.
couple of years ago, I got like maybe 4 or 5 that have lighted nocks, but
Mm-hmm.
I actually just as we're getting camp set up and we start getting our hunting stuff out, I had got a new set from Michael, and
Yep.
I thought I'm gonna put those new set on there.
Yep.
I'm excited. I want to use them, so I put them on there. And I don't know, they're black arrows with white and black fletchings, and I almost wish I had one of those lighted nocks. I don't
Yep.
know if I shot low. I don't know
Yep.
if I hit. I haven't even. I've been so busy since I've got back. I haven't even really reviewed it on like a TV. I
Yep.
looked at it on the screen, but sometimes it's kind of hard to tell. I needed like
Yeah.
slow mo. I either hit low or I hit like mid body high,
Yep. Yep.
somewhere in that ballpark. I don't think I hit anything vital, or he would have bled a lot more than he did.
Mm-hmm.
And I could hear it. It hit his chest cavity,
Yep.
or it hit his body enough to make that pop.
Yep.
And that's what the dog guy was like. Did you hit a shoulder or did you hit his body? I know the sound of a shoulder
Yeah.
shot and hitting his body. I hit his body, tail tucked between his legs, and he was hauling ass into that woods.
And,
I
you
just
never
didn't.
saw his um you never did you recover the arrow, or was it still
Yes.
hanging?
So I got about, I don't know. My arrows are 32 2 inches long, I think. I had all of it, but about 12 inches, and that was the fletching side of it that broke off. So I don't know if when he kind of mule kicked after I shot, it was like a
Hmm.
quick mule kick, and then his tail was right between his legs. I don't know if when he kicked, it broke it off. I never found the other part of the arrow,
Yeah.
just the broadhead side of it. And I had like chunks of meat on it. So I'm thinking I put it in no man's land, man, which is
Yeah.
absolutely sickening.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Yeah.
sickening.
Well, and you know, that's a feat in and of itself, just going to another state, then go to public land, and then go in, read sign, set up, and shoot a deer of that magnitude. Yeah, that's
Man,
you dream about it and you plan for it all year long.
for
And
sure.
and we always say that's hunting, but man, it hurts.
It hurts a lot,
Yeah,
and
I could.
and to have my buddy with me, that's his first out of state trip he's ever taken.
Yeah. Yep.
In our second sit, it made me look like a freaking superhero. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it
Yeah.
had our everything was just elevated after that. It was like, oh my God, we got it done right off the rip. Still got
Yep.
5 days left, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. It was just a real kick in the midsection for sure. I know it was hard for me to even really get going after that to
Yeah.
enjoy myself because I was just so down on myself from
Yeah.
a shot that I've taken a million times.
Yep. Yep. You killed that foam every time, and
Oh,
then
for sure.
you get the adrenaline flowing, and I mean, it's just what it is. But that's why your deer this Saturday was a redemption deer. What, 11 minutes after legal light.
if that.
Redemption.
Like and that made me think too. Uh I'll just go ahead and get in the story. All that happened in Missouri, came
Hmm.
home Thursday, opening day of gun season here in Indiana was Saturday,
Yep.
and had some buddies come in. We're doing the thing, kind of having a small little deer camp-ish.
Hmm.
Um and I didn't, to be honest with you, didn't really have a place to go.
Hmm.
I was going to hunt a place in Shelby County that I hunt on the river, but with those guys from Tennessee coming up, I was kind of going to let them have that since they
Yep.
do such a great job on putting us on birds in Tennessee.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm just going to kind of, if I have to go film somebody, that's fine. I'm going hunting, but it
Yep.
may be with somebody or whatever. Well, I got to sitting there waiting on them to get here, just sitting here at the house. And I thought, I'm going to ask for gun permission on this place that I bow hunt. Um, I've hunted in this place since I was 13 years old, and I'm 36. So I've hunted there
Hmm.
for a long time.
Yeah.
Place has changed throughout the years. Always has good deer in it. And
Yep.
I thought I'm going to get the balls on me to text this guy or call. End up texting because I know he's a teacher or
Hmm.
something. Works at the school, and I didn't want to bother him. So I just sent a text. Hey, you care if I gun hunt? I don't want to, ruin anybody's. I know he's got some younger kids that are getting into hunting and stuff. He said, no, I believe there's only been a few people that have hunted there so far this year. My son's going to be hunting behind the house, so you're more than welcome. I'm like, awesome. I got a place to go now. So I get in there, and the thing is, he doesn't want me to park there because he doesn't want it to be a problem where people are going knocking on his door all the time,
Yep.
asking to hunt, that sort of thing. But my aunt lives just down the road, so I ride the e-bike in every time.
Yep.
Well, with gun season, he wants to know that I'm there. So I
Yep.
got to park. I could see my truck from the stand that I was in. And I got set up and got the camera set up, and we could legally shoot where I was at 6:57. I pulled the trigger at 7:05, I think it
Yep.
was. I just happened to look up, saw a deer coming
Yep.
through some bedding, and I could see it was a darker body, so I figured it was a buck. I just couldn't see a rack really yet, and I thought if it was big enough, I'd already see the rack.
Yeah.
And he turned his head, and I'm like, "Oh, you do have a
Oh,
rack, and I'm going to pull the
hello.
trigger on you." Didn't even get if I would have took the time to press record on my camera, I don't believe I would have got a shot. He was in a
Yeah.
hurry. I don't know if he got bumped from another woods or what happened,
Yep.
but he stopped right on the edge of bedding and looked around, and he went to take a step, and I stopped him. But the old meh,
Yep.
and pulled the trigger. He spun around, came around me, ran about 45, 50 yards. And when he did, it's kind of a corner of a field and it's all growed up. and I never saw him go through there. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what just happened. He could have snuck through there and me not seeing him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the Missouri thing came back in my mind when I pulled the
Oh,
trigger. I
yeah.
thought, I'm not telling a soul about
Yeah.
this deer until I find it. Because I don't want to
Yeah.
play this game again where people are asking
Yeah.
me, let me see pictures of you. Because I
Yeah.
already told 10 people that I
Yeah.
shot it, which
Well,
is a mistake learned.
you called me after you shot the Missouri deer,
I was still in the
and
stand.
I said, and I was filming Antone, and it was snowing. We was snowing, and then Antone said, "Did you hear it back from Brent?" And I said, "No, I didn't." And I'm not gonna, because when you're ready to tell me what happened, you'll tell me what happened.
Right.
But I read between the lines, and I figured,
Yeah,
yeah,
that was tough, man.
yeah, that's tough,
But
man. But
he didn't make it. He didn't make it
yeah,
around the corner. He
he
was
was right
down.
there.
He was down. It was such a sigh of relief.
Mm-hmm.
We green scored him on the back of the truck when we got home. He green scored 127.
Yep.
Not my biggest buck by any means. I know people say that all the time. I don't mean it like that, but
Yep.
super proud of it.
Yep.
Couldn't have been more excited. Honestly, that's the first deer I've shot with a gun on that property since like 2018 or something like that. I'd had
Wow.
a heck of a
Yeah.
bow streak at that place for many years, and it just felt like a weight was lifted off. And I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get back after it.
Yep.
I may go to West Virginia the Thanksgiving weekend. I
There you
may get
go.
some family stuff done and zip over there to my buddy Troy Delaney's place, and he's got some real stud bucks on camera. I went there in bow season, and actually like the weekend of like October 18th, and I haven't got to tell this story yet either. I think it was my second or third sit in there. It was a morning, and had a doe come out of this power lines into where I was at, and she was acting real weird, and she kept looking behind me, directly behind me. And I finally got the guts. She's at 10 yards. I
Mm-hmm.
thought, I'm going to look behind me and see what I see. As soon as I turned, he was coming over a ridge, coming right at me. He was probably 130-inch-ish 8-pointer.
Yep.
He looked up, looked at her, looked around, took a few more steps, and I had him at 40 yards right there. But it would have been like a frontal shot, and I wouldn't have taken that anyways. And he just turned, walked, and went right back up the ridge. I said, "You got to be kidding me! Come on, dude! My wind's not even blowing that direction,
Yeah.
He just didn't like something.
Yep.
I don't know if it was her. Some deer are like that personality wise. They don't like to
Yep.
be around other deer.
Yep.
He just turned and he didn't run. He didn't jog. He just walked right back up the ridge and on he
Yep.
went. Never saw him again that whole trip. But
Yeah.
it's
Well,
been fun, man.
a three state deer, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I've never deer hunted outside of the state that I was a resident of.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been a resident in a few states, and
Right.
but the shortest state I was a resident in was Illinois. But I was only there 10 months, and I killed 3 deer on public land,
Nice.
and with my bow, and I missed a good buck on public land with my bow, and then you could kill 1 buck and 2 doe then, and but I'm sorry, I don't care what they say about Illinois and all the big deer that are just hiding around every corner. I couldn't stand the gun laws that they had. I had to get out of there.
Oh man, that would drive me nuts.
I was done with Illinois, man. I was like, ew.
I've talked about this on here. I think a few different times, but my perfect storm for an Indiana gun season, in my opinion, would be just like Ohio. 7 days. You started on a Monday of December or whenever it is. Let these deer get through the rut here in Indiana, and your class of buck is going to go up even more than it already is. I can't tell you how much I've seen on social media in the last 2 years, and we're talking popular people or whatever, any and everybody. I've been seeing the name Indiana on those pages a lot more than I see in Ohio or in Illinois or whatever. I think people have really zoned in on hunting Indiana, bow hunting Indiana.
Well, and there's probably quite a few factors, and I know there's pockets that have just been slammed with the HD, but
for sure,
let's be honest, we know what brought Indiana to where it is, and that's 20 or so years or more years of 1 buck.
Absolutely.
and that's what changed the whole just the build. And I mean, they've got the numbers to prove it. Like whatever 90s, early 90s, or whenever they went $1, it the number of mature bucks shot by and large has increased hundreds of percentage
For sure.
points. And the only thing that, like you said, if we could just tweak one little thing, is do what Ohio does as far as the gun season
Hmm.
goes.
Yeah, we don't
Um,
need 5 different gun seasons like
yeah,
Illinois has got or
yeah,
whatever it is.
no, don't complicate it like that. Yeah, like, oh, they got a weekend, and then this weekend, man, I forget. I forgot and bought the wrong archery tag one year, and I meant to buy the bundle. And I was like,
Right.
oh, I just bought an archery. Now if I want to muzzle it, yeah, it was a waste of money. But like, yeah, if we would just tweak that and maybe push it out a little bit, and or just do a smaller one. But I get that. I know we all know that that they're being lobbied big time by
For sure.
the insurance companies and everything. So that, I don't know that we'll ever see that. But the $1 rule, I mean, we're living proof in the state of Indiana, and I've lived here twice. The first time in the early '90s, and now since '06. And even just in my time here since 2006, the numbers are just like, they do not lie. The $1 rule change shows like, wow, this is what just happened here. I mean, I'm from Michigan. If Michigan would do that, oh my goodness. And there's a lot of big bucks that are killed up there. I get it. But if they would just go $1, oh my goodness. I mean, they would be a state. And I know some people, that are going to say, "Oh, don't say Indiana that has big bucks." Now we got big bucks, okay.
Right.
Like you said, we talked about earlier. I just took pictures of a 217 and 7/8. Maybe it was just a 4-year-old, and the genetics are there.
That's the third deer over 200 that I can actually. That's the fourth deer over 200 that I know of that was killed. We'll say within an hour circle
Yep.
of my house here and close to yours.
In
Four deer over
27,
200. That's pretty good.
that's well, in 2018, when I filmed Lane's buck get killed, we actually have a little snippet. When we were just getting started, I did a little snippet, and I called it "Net is for fishing." And we had taken his deer, and then a buddy of mine and a mutual friend of ours, Jesse Posey, and his boys. We all went over to this guy who scores. He's an official scorer,
Mhm.
and this was like January, February. I don't remember. It was cold out. I remember that. And they were going to officially score, all the bucks. So I was filming a little bit, and I called it "Net is for fishing," because I don't care about your net score, man. If he's got
Right.
bone, the bone's bone.
Right.
And I can remember this guy who was scoring the deer said that this was like the eighth or ninth Boone and Crockett deer that he had scored from the county that Lane had shot that buck in, and he knows of some other official scorers who have scored some Boone and Crockett's. And that was in one year. There was at least a dozen or more officially scored Boone and Crockett bucks taken from that specific county.
In that specific county too.
It's not
Also,
our county.
no, it's not. That's also there's a 200 that came from that county too.
Yep.
I think her is it Julia Moffett, I believe was her name. It's
Yep.
was one of the biggest typicals in the
Yep.
state of Indiana until the
Yeah.
Huff Buck came around.
Yeah. Yeah. The Moffett buck was, and I know, the guys that I was hunting and filming with that were with me in Crimson Trail right at the beginning. He got a picture of that deer. He had multiple farms, but one of his farms, he had a picture of the Moffett buck the morning before it was killed.
Mm.
And so that buck was also, but I know this guy, I'll tell you, he knows how to keep his deer, like, smart. Don't putting all your trail cam pictures all over social media, and
Yep.
and don't, you speak to the people who keep their mouth shut, and because you want to tell somebody, and
Oh, for sure. It's
you've
hard
got,
not to.
you've got your circle, but like when you're putting stuff on social media and stuff like that, that's a bit. That's another thing. Hey, the same guy used that to his advantage to hunt a buck that was 188 that ended up getting shot because two different people were posting their stuff on social media. One, and he got the farm in between them. Well, if that buck is up here and down here, and he got permission on it. And when he found out it was dead, then he went for a lesser buck, and but yeah, I think I think we still got some good stuff ahead of us. I'm not. I mean, I still got Andrea Moffat. That's what I was trying to think of her name. Andrea
Andrea.
Moffat.
I don't know
Yep.
what's that, Julia. I
Yep.
think she's the lady
Yeah.
on Channel 13 News.
Yeah, probably. But like I mean, I still got Piper hunting, and she's never hunted this late. She's always killed her deer in October, and she's loving
Mhm.
it. And Antone's still hunting. I'm trying to keep him from the depths of despair, because our core property that he's killed all of his good bucks on the last couple of years is kind
Yeah,
of being, we're just trying to be like, okay. I give
yeah,
him
that's tough.
updates every day. Nope, there's trucks are still there. They haven't changed those power lines yet. And so, I mean, we've still got, and we're going to have, we're going to have Ron down. He's got an open invite. My cot's right here in between his work, and he can run down here. And then we've got our outfitter coming down from Canada to try to kill his first U.S. deer, and during muzzleloader weekend. So we'll have a little mini deer camp. Not sure if Chris Labarge is coming down from Canada, but if he does, we're going to have a little like just mini deer camp ourselves. Fun,
That's awesome.
camaraderie, have a great time. And I
Absolutely.
figure by the time this time last year in muzzleloader, we actually saw more deer than we had seen the previous month during the rut, and we saw a lot of good deer during the rut.
Hmm.
But that kind of like a couple of does came into they kind of hit the feed bag for a minute, rested in between Thanksgiving and there, and then all of a sudden, I don't know if it was just our property, but we had a couple of hot does or something, and I mean it was a frenzy, just a
That's
frenzy.
it can
So
happen like that too. That's like I was
yep,
kind of going to go back on a little bit when I was asking you about what you had seen, deer
yeah,
movement wise, rut activity. I hadn't seen a thing
yeah,
prior to leaving to Missouri.
mm-hmm,
I had one evening that I hunted after work where I saw a very small buck chasing a doe around a little bit, a lot of
yep,
pre-rut stuff. And
yep,
then I started seeing scrapes and rubs and stuff.
mm-hmm,
And I this year in the stand, I usually have a couple throughout the year where when I would sit there, it'd be no holes bar.
yep,
5 bucks chasing one doe in a circle out in the middle of
yep,
these fields like we have around here, and I didn't get that this year. I don't
yep,
know if I'll get that when I venture out a little bit or anything like that, but I just hadn't. I had only seen one buck. Okay, 2 bucks in the stand prior to leaving to Missouri, and they were both you know, bat, smaller than a basket rack.
yep.
I just hadn't had that. Hadn't been seeing it yet. I hadn't been seeing a whole lot of movement in period, really.
I was, and, well, weather too. So we've been decently cold. I mean, we had snow last weekend,
Hmm.
and then this past Saturday, it was 71 degrees.
Right.
You know, and then Sunday morning it was like 35 with a wind chill of like in the 20s. It was cold,
Yeah.
and it was colder. This morning it was 25 degrees in my truck, and I had to run the kids to school today, and I must and just right by their school, I saw about a 120, 125 standing on a doe, and it just about missed him because the sun, it was it was looking to the east, and the sun was just bright, and I just looked up, and there he was, and I was like, oh. And then I looked down, and there was the doe, and she was about 15 yards from me, and it was on a
Dang.
sloping hill. That's why I didn't see her right away.
Yeah.
And so there's and buck doe ratios are all different in different places. I know there's a lot of guys that were buddies of mine that were checking in over the weekend. I've got showing me a lot of videos from their stands or from their blinds of little bucks chasing around. So yeah, it's definitely some lockdown going on.
Hmm.
But I think, yeah, like you said, we know how that bell curve goes, and it tapers down a little bit.
Yeah.
I had a decent buck. I would say probably 130s on one of my scrapes that I have that had been dead for 10 days, 12 days. And he came through there and peed on his hocks in the scrape and hit the licking branch. and all my other scrapes have been pretty dead. I haven't really been relying. I don't rely. Yeah, obviously, I've been relying on scrapes right now because they're breeding. But
Right.
so there's that buck. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I shot my deer, and I think then they were starting to ramp up a little bit then too. That was
Yeah,
October 16th. So that was the front end of the bell curve. We're not quite to that back end, but I feel like there's a lot more of that the little guys running around, and
for sure.
and
I'd say right around that Thanksgiving time, you kind of the last
yep,
year off for the gun hunters.
yep,
I think they get that the little bit of excitement in that time window there around Thanksgiving.
yep,
I can remember, going years and years back, always having an exciting hunt around that
hmm,
time
yep,
during gun season around Thanksgiving. It seemed like I always saw a big one chasing or
yep,
seeking or whatever, but it seems like for me in the properties I hunt, that Thanksgiving is the other side
yep.
of that bell curve for me.
I've always had my best luck, and it's just me. Halloween, I've killed 2 bucks on Halloween and one the day before Halloween. Antone killed a great buck on Halloween and
Mhm.
Veterans Day, and or maybe a little bit in between there. Prior to that, I'd only killed 1 buck. Like the earliest buck I'd ever killed was October 14th, and then I killed this one on October the 16th, and over a good green food source. But
Right.
the yeah, like I like that kind of that back end of the bell curve. I kind of have started liking the late season.
Oh, for
And
sure.
I've started kind of liking that muzzleloader, and then we had that great year last year, which is why if we've gotten this little property, power lines are easy to do that kind of stuff in, because you don't have to clear trees out. And we had to clear some. Now they're all clearing out. If I would have known they were going to do this, I would have waited for 2 years. And we had clover and chicory in there, and boy, they're mowing on that all year round.
Oh
So I
yeah.
said, well, last year was so good. Let's do something a little different. And we planted turnips, and they grew. And I mean, the bulbs are, big as softballs. And so we're kind of banking on that being like a good late season food source when the snow starts coming, and they're eating the leaves and stuff off the top now that it's been cold. But again, I have 3 bucket trucks and a skid steer parked 10 feet from it right now.
Man, I
And
feel so bad for you on that.
I don't know, we can't do anything but just cry and laugh at the same time. But
Right.
like, we did that food source for that. And I've never, really had a property where I could really invest this in. So we're just ramped up and then this. So I
Yeah.
feel like I know the celebration when something is killed there and the potential of late season when they're going back to food sources. It's unpredictable right now. You never know what you're going to see. Sometimes I don't like the rut because the bucks that you want to see are 2 miles down the road getting shot by somebody else.
Right.
And now I need you guys to have your bucks over here on me. We got a weird buck that we've never seen. We haven't seen all year. And then I had a guy local just send me a picture an hour and a half ago. Have you seen this buck? And I had never seen that buck. And now he's got pictures of him, like I said, 3 miles down the road, 2.5, 3 miles down the road from where I was taking pictures of him by my house 3 days ago. So here's somebody else's buck that, probably 5 miles down the road, and he's running around chasing girls and, thinking with his other head.
Right.
So, I'm ready for that to kind of go away, honestly, Brett, and for that food source, and the deer to kind of get back into those rhythms again.
They pile in
Um,
them things too, boy.
and that's what I like. I like that. I like seeing deer,
For sure.
and I'll kill them whenever I can kill them, but I like seeing deer. So I think that my crew is banking right now on let's get through this rut, and then let's get into the late season when it's going to be cold, but um, let's get on that food source again um, and kind of work it that way. And hopefully, good Lord willing, we don't have 80-degree weather. I mean, it's in the 50s now. They're
Yeah.
My cameras were blowing up last night, but then I don't trust my cameras either.
Right.
Right this time of year, they'll lie to you because those deer are just running everywhere.
Oh, for sure. I never had a picture of the one I shot in
Yeah.
that place either. And honestly, I have 3 cameras in this property, and it's 45 acres. And honestly, still, those cameras have not. I may get a small buck or a couple does here and there. Had nothing like it's been in years past where
Mm-hmm.
I'd almost have them patterned out. Like I had a buck in there a couple of years ago I called John Daly because he was in there every day at a certain time. Like I almost called him 5 o'clock Charlie because he was in there like every day at the same time.
Yep.
Uh, but
Yeah.
it's just gotta, hopefully everything pans out for you guys to get the bucket
Yeah.
trucks out of there. You know,
We're having fun, but we're like you. We love venison,
for
and
sure.
we're getting to the end of our supply. So one deer isn't going to knock it for us.
Right.
And but we're equal opportunity killers too. So Piper's will have the rifle here. She's using the crossbow now because we're archery only at the pond, the Piper's plot. But once everything clears out at the river, that opens up more space for us to be able to, we've got stands that we're not sitting in because we're just, the deer are just there. They know they're not coming out until dark.
Right.
And so once that alleviates, the rifle will be out. Anton hunted with his rifle all weekend. And we're not afraid to get the muzzleloaders and the rifles and I'm shooting with trad. I don't care. That was fun. I'm glad I got that over with early season. I've still got 2 doe tags.
Right.
And once these kids get their deer down, get a deer down a piece, old daddy here is getting back in the stand with a weapon. I'm either going to have my compounder or a muzzleloader or a rifle. I don't care. So I
That's
like
awesome.
it. Just having fun. Good old fun. But hopefully, I'm not ready for turkey season yet. Let's kill some
Not
deer.
yet. It'll
No,
creep on, but I'm not yet.
you go to West Virginia. And if Ron moves to Tennessee, we're just going to make this public right now. Ron, me and Brad will be down there for turkey and deer season.
I still have a Tennessee deer tag too. I go down there right now.
That's what I love about Tennessee. You buy one tag and you kill everything.
Right. And that's not out of the question yet either. It's
Mm,
just going to be hard to balance.
yeah,
If I do West Virginia, it may kick Tennessee out of the equation. I
yeah,
can't do as much as I'd love to do. I'm not a millionaire by any means.
yeah. No, we're blue collar guys.
For sure.
Blue collar, Blue River. Yeah, it's fun though. It is so fun, and I love seeing young kids like Aiden kill the biggest deer that he'll probably ever see or kill, and and just be so humble about it. The whole season to me has just been refreshing.
For sure.
I ran up to you, then our good buddy, Michael Lehman. Michael
Oh yeah.
shot a buck with his wife yesterday. We
That's
ran up to
awesome.
Muncie in between the morning and the afternoon hunt, took some pictures with him, celebrated with him for half an hour. You know,
It's part
it's a,
of it.
that's what's so fun about this. That's what I
Yeah.
love about it. Old school stuff, man. Old
That and
school.
if Ron gets back down there to Tennessee, I could see this Tennessee turkey trip next spring going to be one heck of a trip.
Oh,
We'll do our
yeah.
own turkey roundup for anybody listening on the other end of this. We'll
Yes.
do our own turkey roundup.
We will do a turkey roundup and then a select deer roundup.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's great. It'll be a fun run. It'll be definitely a fun run.
For sure, man. It's been a
Yep.
blast having you back on. It's been a blast to get behind Mike again. You won't won't have many weeks without an episode now. I'm going to get back on the grindstone and have hopefully many people on to tell stories of bucks they've shot and everything going on around the Midwest and everywhere else in the country, deer hunting wise. But it's been a blast having you on,
Yep.
Victor, and I'm glad
Appreciate it,
you
brother.
I'm glad we decided to do this tonight.
Yep. Yep. I appreciate it, bro.
Absolutely. Tell
All right.
everybody where they can find you and Crimson Trail.
Crimson Trail, we keep updated on Facebook, a little bit on Instagram. We're on Carbon TV, but we're starting to throw a lot of our stuff on YouTube. Everything's on YouTube now, too. YouTube's just easy.
It is.
I like it. So go watch some of our deer hunts. Go watch that first episode ever. Season 1, Episode 1, 2018. Lane Baldwin shot a dandy
I got to go and watch that.
180. 180. And yeah, it's a great episode. And we killed a lot of deer with those boys back then. So
That's
yeah, awesome,
well,
brother. Appreciate
everybody on the on the YouTube, thank you for watching us, and hit that like and subscribe for us. Anybody in podcast land, hit us with a rate and review. I'm going to be dropping some untold stories on the YouTube here in the next couple weeks. We got a lot of footage, but really didn't get the footage of a kill on video. But we got some cool stuff to share. Gonna do some more untold stories on the YouTube. But we'll be back here again next week for episode 134. See you.